I'm Jessica Wellman, the editor of SBC Americas, and I am sitting here today with David Flynn, the CEO of Glitnor Group. David, pleasure to have you, and thank you for taking time today to talk with me.
Thanks very much for inviting me.
Absolutely. So to get started, Glitnor Group's a lot of things. It's B2C, it's B2B, it's affiliates. How do you ensure that all of those verticals are getting attention, and how much does hiring the right people help play into that?
Yeah, thanks. It's a great question. Sometimes it can be a little bit confusing for the outside world to understand everything that we do. So when you're looking at different people to bring into the company, it's about making sure that they've got the flexibility, making sure that they've got really good experience, and they can drive themselves, right? So, I mean, when we started Swint, as an example, about 3 years ago, David Mann, who was then actually hired as head of business development, joined the team. First hire. First day I met him, first hire on the day. And since then, he's actually made a great rise in his career, and recently became the CEO for that business unit within the wider Glitnor group. So, you really need to just put your belief in people, help to coach, train, and then, they're going to continue to take the journey further forward, really. And we do that across the entire group. Obviously, with Cafe Rocks is a slightly different animal since that was an acquisition. But Simon Pilkington runs that business, extremely capable guy, been in the industry over 10 years in affiliation, and absolutely fantastic person. So it's really easy when you have somebody like that.
Awesome. Now, you mentioned Swint. Recently just got approval to go into the UK and do business there. What are the plans for other new markets, not just Swint, but the entire company?
Across the group, if I consider the group as a whole, we're probably in most markets actually. If I take our affiliation business, for example, Latin America is a really strong growth market for us. The United States, of course. I'm sure we'll get back to that later on, is really good growth for us right now across the board. And then from a B2B perspective, you've just mentioned the UK. We're looking at licensing across the Eastern European regulated markets right now. We've signed some initial deals in the US and started the licensing process for states in the US as well for the B2B business. For our B2C, which is Lucky Casino and Happy Casino, we've just launched Happy in the Swedish market, a secondary brand, doing extremely well, and going through the Canadian licensing process right now. So that's our next step into North America, if you will, with our B2C business.
Yeah, North America is a big one for you guys.
Absolutely.
You got in with Michigan, and that is a market where to be an affiliate, you need a license. What was that process like for you? Do you think that it's helpful to have affiliates be regulated this way? Do you see it maybe expanding to somewhere like the UK, a process like that?
Yeah, I think it's a sensible approach. The licensing process for an affiliate is not as onerous as for an operator, which makes sense considering that the affiliate is not actually managing the monies, so to speak. So from that perspective, I think it's the right approach to have a lesser degree of scrutiny on affiliate licenses, but it's really important that the affiliate world is also licensed and regulated to ensure that players do have a fair representation, so that when they're looking for which particular sites they want to play on, they do get the reputable sites and the licensed sites. That's really important.
I know that you consider your affiliate plan in US about being a resource for players and kind of a go-to list of where to play. How's that gone in Michigan, and how do you think your performance in Michigan is setting Cafe Rocks and up in the rest of the US for future markets?
Yeah. So with our affiliate business, we are solely SEO. We don't do any PPC affiliation whatsoever. So with SEO, once we're actually getting a license, then it's about making sure that we get the SEO traction, of course, and the rankings for that particular market. So it does take some time. So I can't really give you any results of how Michigan is going right now.
Fair.
So in terms of Michigan and the licensing there from an affiliate perspective, as I mentioned, it's quite straightforward. And to take that into other regulated states in the US, we're already across 12 states now with our licensing for the affiliate part of the business. So again, being able to leverage that across future states going forward, all the pieces are in place. It's just about paperwork really now. And just that's the kind of process that we go through. It's very straightforward.
For the US, how much is it that you do the work for the first one, the first state, and then a lot of that work has been done going into the next state?
Okay, it is slightly different state by state, but as soon as the main thing is that you organize your shareholder base, really, and making sure that those that have to send in their information have everything in order. Once everything is in order, it makes it a lot easier. I mean, of course, from a B2C perspective, the legislation and the regulations are totally different across state by state.
Yeah.
And that is a totally different scenario when you're submitting the information. But from an affiliate perspective, it's quite straightforward.
So regulation is so important and it's such a big piece of what you're doing. But at a point, is there a time where that focus on regulation maybe draws away from other things that are important? For example, thinking about how to innovate in a regulated market.
Yep, no, absolutely. I think a lot of time with our tech team is spent, looking at regulated markets and making sure that we abide by the necessary changes that are required in order to do business in those markets. And when you're planning a market entry, that's absolutely fine. You understand that. It's more trying to adapt to the quick changes that can come up from regulators time to time when looking into a market. I mean, the New Jersey regulations were changed quite recently as well. So, there's going to be new changes.
Yeah.
Yes. So there's new changes there that you need to have a look at as well, So all of that, it puts changes within your workflow, within your projects and your deliveries. And innovation really has to take a step back because, certainly we don't have the full capacity to be able to manage market entries, manage all the regulatory changes and do more innovative product development as well. So I think, we've taken the position that we'll be a very strong follower when it comes to innovative product development. But I wouldn't say that that's a bad position at the moment. It's more important to get geographical growth.
Absolutely. Well, it sounds like you are managing all branches of this and growing them quite well, even though it seems very daunting to some others. So I appreciate you taking the time to talk about it with us today. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for having me.